Hello, this is Des from Baubles and Bubbles. Welcome to my new subscribers. Today we're going to refurbish a Gwen Stefani L.A.M.B bag from 2004-2005. It's got some piping damage and it's pretty worn. So we're going to do a basic cleanup and see how it goes. Okay, we got some piping damage here, some leather, holes in the leather, and it's dirty. We got some on this corner as well. We got piping damage. The inside of it looks pretty decent. And this is a music fade out style in parchment. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to clean it with leather CPR first. Just give it a good leather cleaning because it hasn't been cleaned in a while. So that's what we're going to do first. Next, after we've given it conditioning, we're going to go ahead and try and repair the piping. Typically, if a bag has broken piping, I try not to work with it. This particular bag came to me with through an eBay listing that was not quite accurate with the description, so we're going to work with it. So it's a good challenge to have. I like to repair and fix things, so we'll see how it works. Typically, if I have any kind of leather repair, I use a well bond. It dries clear. It's good on most surfaces. So I've worked with that previous on stitching repair, so we'll see how this goes. So we'll go ahead and just apply it to the areas where the piping and the leather have been, there's holes in the leather. So we'll see how it goes. we're gonna wait an hour for this glue to dry, and then we'll continue our project. These particular bags, when they were made, the leather is so fine and delicate. The corners are the first thing to show wear. So if we can get a little more use out of it just by some simple techniques, that's what I like to do. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so we put several applications of glue onto the corners of the bag to help repair the piping. Instead of one layer, it was probably about 3 layers. So it's been a day. We let it set for a day. And so I'm gonna go ahead and start to color repair the piping on this bag. A lot of times I would recommend dyeing a bag, but if you're only doing a small area, I don't know, I feel like it helps to maintain the original integrity of the bag if I'm just touching up the small area. It depends on the bag. If you're not going to use it ever unless you dye it, then I would definitely recommend going that route. We're just going to repair the edges with acrylic paint, and acrylic adheres really well with leather. So that's why I'm going to go that route. And a lot of the tips and techniques that I've been using through the years, I gained through just experimentation. I've done a lot of research. I've communicated with a lot of people on the Purse Forum blogs, and people share different techniques and tips. This particular bag, the dye is more like a paint. It's a really thick type of dye, and the leather is super thin and delicate. So repairing the edges with acrylic paint will be very similar to what is already on the bag. So that's what I'm going to do now. And my technique is usually if I do acrylic, I thin it down just a tad with some water and do very thin, more like stippling strokes, and I use kind of my finger to add texture. You don't want to brush it so much because then it looks like you've painted it. So it's kind of a technique, more of a to get into the grain of the leather. Since there's a layer of glue over this, it's probably not going to be as perfect as I would like. The texture of the glue kind of adds a little more sheen, but that's only in a small area on the corner. So let's see what happens here, and hopefully it'll turn out good. So let's get going. This particular Folk Art 450 parchment is really a perfect match for this particular bag. I did some testing ahead of time, and it's a perfect match. So, and I'm using tiny brushes. I'm just gonna I have some sealer as well that I've used in the past. There's fabric painting medium, and I've also used multi-purpose seal. So you could also use that as well to seal in the work. it's been several hours. I did several applications of paint along the piping. I also repaired some minor scratches on the front of the bag just to restore some of the color. I noticed one of the things, and we'll give you a close-up, was anytime I had to glue the piping, the texture is not quite the same, but if I hadn't have repaired the piping, the bag wouldn't be usable. So I think overall it was a good repair. I'm gonna give it a quick Black Rock Leather Enrich coat just along the thicker bits of the leather on the front to shine it up a little, and on the underside. I didn't do much to the underside, but we wanna kind of avoid this embossed area. The leather is very delicate and it's white, so if I do any kind of vigorous rubbing, we'll rub out the embossing, so you kind of want to avoid that. Give it a basic cleaning, but you don't want to rub it out too much. So I'm just going to give it a quick Black Rocks coat along the thicker areas just to shine it up, and then we'll do a quick polish of the hardware, although it doesn't need it too much, but we'll go ahead and do that. So and there you have it, a L.A.M.B bag music fade out piping restoration. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, leave your comments or questions below, and we'll see you next time. God bless.